There is no question that the world changed over the past week, but there is a question about how significantly.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan.
The president last Saturday night with that stunning announcement revealing the scale of his bluff. Remember that just 48 hours earlier, he indicated that he might be willing to give diplomacy with Iran as many as 14 more days to bear fruit.
Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
From the get-go, Donald Trump insisted that the airstrikes involving more than a dozen 30,000-pound bunker-busting bombs, the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in America's arsenal, had been, in his description, flawless. But when he first claimed there that Iran's nuclear facilities had been completely obliterated, he could not possibly have known whether that was the case or not. He was speaking right after the B-2s dropped their payloads, before any kind of battlefield damage assessment had been compiled. And that was still the case the following morning, when Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth took a victory lap for himself and his president.
Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump.
For the next 48 hours, questions were batted away by the administration. What did they know about reports that the Iranians had scarpered with about 900 pounds of enriched uranium that they managed to load into trucks and cars before the US attack? The administration said that was the wrong question to ask. How could they be sure that the nuclear sites had been obliterated? Trust us, they said. The president already told you the operation was flawless. So it came as a blow to the White House on Wednesday night when CNN reporter Natasha Bertrand raced onto the air with some breaking news.
The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence.
An early assessment by the Pentagon's own intelligence gathering arm had been leaked to her, and it was itself explosive, suggesting the president had significantly overstated the impact of the airstrikes on Iran.
There was damage done, of course, by these massive bombs, but the core components of the nuclear program, we are told, they are largely intact, and it only set the program back by a matter of months.
It is a hallmark of the society in which Americans now live that her reporting made Natasha Bertrand public enemy number one for the White House. In a confusing initial statement, the president's press secretary cast doubt on the authenticity of the leaked document, while simultaneously confirming its authenticity. The White House fulminated about the low-level loser in the Pentagon who had leaked the top-secret document to CNN and the New York Times. The FBI was ordered to catch the leaker. And the president, on Tuesday, leaving the White House for the NATO summit, fulminated.
CNN is scum. All night long they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news.
It is worth noting that his rage that morning was fueled by the fact that the ceasefire between Israel and Iran that he had announced was temporarily in difficulty. And that led to a moment of presidential fury that became immediately iconic, as it was broadcast live into America's breakfast TV programs. Literally the most family-friendly broadcasts on the air.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Well, not really, because by the time he got to The Hague, the ceasefire was taking hold, and presumably by that point the White House was revising his foul-mouthed opinion of Israel and Iran. Who knows? Certainly NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte was waiting, ready to apply plaudits to the president with a trowel at the NATO summit, congratulating Donald Trump on his success, forcing alliance members to spend 5% of their GDP on defense, a number that, it is worth remembering, the US leader plucked entirely from the air during a January press conference before he was sworn into office.
You're going to take, I guess, a vote today, right?
Absolutely. Today we will decide unanimously to do this. That's my absolute conviction.
So we can't talk about it until the vote's taken, because sometimes, you know, strange things happen with those, but I think you're going to
I'm not too worried.
I think you're going to do very well. Everyone's very happy about it.
But that chat was quickly overshadowed when the talk between them turned to the war between Russia and Ukraine.
They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word.
Of all the sycophancy that we have witnessed towards President Trump since his return to the Oval Office, no other international official comes close to matching the dollops of baby oil that Mark Rutte always deploys in Donald Trump's direction. And he hasn't even been on his knees picking up the president's papers. The American leader loves it.
I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
By last night, the president was selling T-shirts depicting himself as Daddy at $35 a pop, suggesting that the moniker proves America is now respected once again on the world stage. He was also continuing to threaten the media for daring to suggest that, as European officials now believe, Iran salvaged its enriched uranium and moved it to safety before the American bombing began. No one has been more of a Rottweiler in the president's defense than Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth. At times this week, he has sounded very much like former Press Secretary Sean Spicer, back in the days when he was forced to insist falsely that the size of the crowd at Trump's first inauguration was the largest in history. Hegseth intimated that the Pentagon press corps is filled with traitors.
How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful.
But then one veteran member of the Pentagon press corps decided to challenge his nonsense, simply trying to get the facts that the administration continues to obfuscate. Her name is Jennifer Griffin, and she is the Pentagon correspondent for Fox News.
Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
And let me just say that even though Jennifer can more than look after herself, I take issue with it as well. I have known her for 30 years. We have worked alongside each other. I was also even at one point her boss. She is one of the most talented, rigorous, dedicated reporters it has ever been my privilege to call a colleague. And I promise you that Pete Hegseth, who you'll notice did not answer her question there about Iran's enriched uranium, doesn't even have the qualifications to clean Jennifer's shoes. But let's move on, because amid all the drama in the Big Apple this week, young, frustrated Democrats were daring to dream.
Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done.
Suddenly, there is a new name galvanizing the left wing of the Democratic Party. Zoran Mamdani pulled off a stunning upset in the race to become the party's candidate for mayor of New York City. He handily defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who had to resign from office 4 years ago amid sexual harassment claims. And at a stroke, 35-year-old Mamdani, a democratic socialist who believes in rent freezes, affordable housing, free buses, city-owned supermarkets and taxing the rich, became the new darling of those Democrats utterly fed up with the old guard.
I will be the mayor for every New Yorker. Whether you voted for me for Governor Cuomo or felt too disillusioned by a long, broken political system to vote at all, I will fight for a city that works for you, that is affordable for you, that is safe for you. I will work to be a mayor you will be proud to call your own.
For the Democratic Party's elite, Mamdani is now a major danger. For many Jewish voters in New York, he is anathema after he defended the phrase globalize the intifada. And the reaction from corporate America, well, take a listen to Joe Kernan, one of the anchors on business network CNBC.
I don't want to go here, but Gotham. Have you seen what Batman is up against in Gotham and what the guy running for mayor is up against? That's what it reminds me of. They're taking Wall Streeters and make him walk out onto the ice in the East River as and then they fall through.
He insisted Mamdani favors class warfare and is threatening to eat the rich, neither of which are actually part of his official manifesto. Born in Uganda of Muslim parents and raised in South Africa, he can never seek the presidency. But while the 1% in New York have reason to fear him, a younger generation of Democrats wonder if he might prove to be the superhero they have waited for to vanquish the old guard of their own party.